This video right here, I'm going to talk about hugging people and entities. I noticed something in the spiritual community where when we give a lot of hugs to people, some people are mindful of giving people hugs because people know people have stuff attached to them. I have experienced this on numerous occasions where I actually had some type of entity attached to me. And so I just want to kind of just bring some awareness to people and don't be offended when people may not choose to hug you, or if people know that you may have been going through something that they may not choose to hug you because they know that entities kind of leech on to that type of energy. And so let's get straight into it. You know how I do it. For people who may want to work with me, please visit my website at www.touchbyjoshuatree.com. TOUCH by joshuatree.com. All right, so let's get into it. I feel like I'm too close to the mic. Let me see here. So, hugging people and entities. I'm gonna try and keep this video real short. So, yes, for the record, it's a thing, right? I find that this is a hard topic to talk about because there is a lot of benefits to hugging. It is very beneficial to hug someone more than a minute. There's a type of practice called, I think it's called yoga hugging, or yoga hug. And when you have this type of practice and you share it with someone that you care about, or just in general, you can experience some very, very powerful benefits from hugging someone for long periods of time. So, also, I do believe that we are in a very touch deprived society. We don't touch enough physically. COVID has definitely made that something where we don't even have these physical interactions with people anymore, and especially in terms of touching. So I do think that this is crazy that now I've noticed that a lot of people, especially in the spiritual and conscious community, they don't really like hugging like that. And I don't blame them. You know, they don't really like hugging like that, or people just don't like hugging in general. But I'm speaking more on reason why you may want to be mindful of what you hug. Some people just don't hug because they're not open to hugging people. But in this case, we're talking about a spiritual perspective. So understanding that when you give out hugs and things of that nature, there can be a potential that whoever you hugging, they can have an entity attached to them. Now, what is an entity? An entity is a type of um, energetic, mm, I guess the best way I could explain it is it's a type of energetic attachment. Let's just say it's something that's attached to you and is feeding on your energy based on whatever vibration that you're resonating in at the moment, or what you have been resonating with for a very long time. And so some people are not even aware that they have entities attached to them because they're not aware of themselves enough to know when they energy change. So how do you know that you have a, let's say, a negative energy or negative entity, or attachment to you? You first have to be aware of your energetic body. And what I mean by that is you have to be aware of the way your primary energy is, your default energy is. Like if you're a person that's like very happy go lucky, always have a lot of energy, and if all of a sudden you hug a few people, you go a few places, and you notice that your energy just starts to stay consistent with this consistent drag, or you notice that, say for instance, you don't have nightmares and you start having nightmares, or you start to just feel mentally like just not there, like you have like a mental fogginess in a sense. Or it could be where your actual life seems like things are just not working out because there may be something that's attached to you. The only way you'll be able to know if you have an entity attached to you is if you are aware of your patterns and you are aware of your lifestyle. You're aware of your basic thoughts and emotions. Like you are aware of how things occur on a day-to-day basis in terms of your internal world. And so Sometimes a lot of people don't know that they have entities attached to them. And so we can't get mad at them because they just don't have the awareness. And sometimes it's hard to detect, you know. But what I highly advise people to do is take spiritual baths. And what I'm going to do is after this video, I'm going to make another video talking about a spiritual bath and the benefits of it. But please take spiritual baths. Take spiritual baths on a consistent basis. You have to take spiritual baths on a consistent basis because there's always something that's trying to attach to you. And it doesn't have to be something that's like so demonic or something that is so like, oh my God, like I got to get rid of this thing. It doesn't have to be that. Attachments are very, or entities, let's just say, it could just be irritation. Irritation is a level of attachment or a entity. Like if someone has irritation in them or around them and they hug you, now you're irritated. And if you stay irritated for long periods of time, then you know something attached to you. Because sometimes you experience something for that day and then you don't experience it no more. But if you start to see a consistency with it, then that means there's something attached to you. So I always recommend spiritual baths. Spiritual baths are so powerful. It will literally change your whole goddamn life. Like spiritual baths will remove blockages. Like spiritual baths are powerful, especially if you have a great intention and can amplify it. So hugging and entities, right? And so just be mindful when you hug people at times. If you hug someone, you know, sometimes it's good. Just give them a little half a hug, you know, give them an arm hug, you know, because sometimes you don't want to be rude. Or, you know, in the case that you just know that you trust people that they're doing the work and they're cleansing themselves, you know, then you can just go ahead and give that open arm embracing. But just be mindful. If you're especially in an emotional setting where people are like literally having a lot of emotions that they're going through, be mindful of that as well, because they 9 times out of 10 may have something attached to them, being that they're in this space of emotional distraught and trying to release a lot of emotions. And so I want to close it off by just sharing this story with you guys to let you know how some of these entities work, because these entities are very intelligent. They have a level of awareness themselves. And so don't think that just because you just go through a bath that they might leave. Some of them are very strong. But there's nothing to panic about. There's nothing to be like, oh my God, I gotta do it. Like, I have never reached out to anyone to remove any entities from me. I have always removed entities by myself. And some entities may take longer. That's fine. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep using your techniques and what have you. But let me just tell you a story how I recently had went to Atlanta and I was getting a reading done by somebody. And so, you know, after the reading was done, you know, I gave him like a arm hug. I was trying to give him a hug, but you know, some men don't like giving hugs. But he was just on I guess a very spiritual level that he didn't want to hug me, so he gave me like an arm hug. And I was like, ah, that's cool, whatever. So I go back, you know, home after being out there. And so for me, how I know something's attached to me is I see it in my third eye. And I'm not saying that shit to sound cute. I'm not saying that shit to sound like I'm more powerful or whatever. I really see it in my third eye. Like I literally can see the entity moving around, like dead ass. Most of the times when I do see it, it'll be when my eyes is closed right before I go to sleep. And I do take a lot of naps. That's another time that I see it. Like if I'm real tired and I close my eyes, I notice I get more, I can see more energies, different energies moving around, let's just say. And so this particular case, it was a day when I was like trying to take a quick nap, and I noticed that I was having trouble taking a nap. I don't never have trouble taking a nap. And then I saw with my third eye, I saw this energy, this entity, and it was very mad. It was growling at me. It was angry. It just had this real hideous face. And I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay, I got an entity attached to me. I didn't panic. I ain't do none of that shit. What I did in that moment was I called on my spirit to cleanse the energy. And literally that's what I did. I just literally called my spirit to cleanse the energy. It went away. And so I was able to go to sleep. But it came back. So I knew it was where I had to go deeper than that. I just So what I did was I took a spiritual bath. But with the spiritual bath, I had a strong intention to get rid of this motherfucker. So like knowing that I had something attached to me that was actually in the water itself, so it created a strong resonance. And so when you put yourself in that position or in that space, just know what you're setting your intention for and what you're doing it for. So I did that, took the tub bath or took the bath or whatever. And I want to say it weakened it. It took about a week. It took about 10 days for me to get rid of it. I want to say it weakened it. And then I also do a lot of spiritual practices. If you're not doing those spiritual practices, then you fucked. Like, just having affirmations all day, that ain't doing nothing for you. Like, it's doing something for you, but we talking energy. And entities are energies. So you want to have some type of spiritual practice that's keeping your vibration high. Something. Because just having positive thoughts all day, that shit ain't going to do nothing to an entity. That shit do not matter. So you want to, you know what I'm saying? You want to have something that where it's time to flush the motherfuckers out, you know how to flush them out. Or not just reach out to somebody. Even with sage, like I think I've used sage around that time, and I sage my space, and it helps. Don't get me wrong, all these things help. But ultimately, you want to try to find some shit to get rid of it. And I will tell you, out of all the times that I've always had an entity attached to me, I always took a spiritual bath. And so, yeah, so, you know, like I said, it took about 10 days to get rid of it. And like I said, for me, I can actually see it in my third eye. So I can see it in my third eye, but also I'm very aware of myself. So I know when my energetic pattern is off. I know when I have thoughts that are not my thoughts. Like when you become aware enough to know that just your basic thoughts are not you, then you could become aware of other things that are trying to influence your basic thoughts that are not you. So I hope that makes sense. Like you become aware not only of your basic thought patterns, but then you could become aware of other, like, you become aware of other patterns or things around you that can also influence your thought patterns. And that's when you could kind of know, okay, there's something attached to me, because I'm not even thinking that shit. And it is so far-fetched, and it's such a thought that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't even resonate with my current vibration. It is so off. That's how you could kind of know that you have an attachment. And so in this particular case with me, that's what I knew was happening. It was an angry spirit that was attached to me. And I'm like, I don't be thinking none of these thoughts. And I started checking with my spirit to see where was this energy coming from. And it was coming from that guy that I did that reading with. And so, like I said, I got rid of it eventually, but this is, so that took about 10 days to get rid of it. Now, I went to work, you know what I'm saying? I ain't stay home, you know what I'm saying? I still was hanging around people, it was still cool. I was just mindful not to be so close to people, because I knew it was something that can potentially affect them to some degree. Now, with this particular energy, this energy didn't ever leave me. So it was funny because I was around people, but they didn't have the experiences I was having. So it was like this energy just liked my energy. It was weird as fuck. But like I said, you can get rid of them by taking a spiritual bath or having some spiritual rituals or practices. You can even call on deities. You can call on certain demons if you into any type of occult magic or anything like that. You can call on, or just reach out to somebody. You can do a lot. It is not that deep. It is not that deep. I'm telling you, it's not that deep. There wasn't one time where it was real deep for me because it was influencing my dreams to where I was having nightmares, and these nightmares was intense. I'm talking about I ain't want to go to sleep type intense. And man, when I tell you around that time, that was probably the worst entity I ever had. It was crazy. Like, you got a bad attachment entity when your reality is being influenced by that motherfucker. And that's what I was experiencing. I'm like, something not right. You know what I'm saying? Anywho, I might talk about that in the next video and talk about that particular story. But yeah, so I just wanted to come on here and share it with you guys to be aware of when you're hugging people, that some people do have entities attached to them. And if your energy starts to change, your thought patterns, your emotional patterns start to change, check in with yourself, check in with that person that you may have hugged, see what's going on in their world. Think to yourself, like, whatever I'm feeling, do you think that they have those same characteristics that you're feeling? And check in with yourself and take a spiritual bath. People are not taking spiritual baths enough. People don't even know what the fuck a spiritual bath is. That's why I'm planning on doing a video on it. So definitely be aware of that, and don't take it personal if someone doesn't want to hug you. I used to take it personal, so that's why I'm talking to y'all about this. Like, I used to take it personal until I realized, like, oh, I know what the hell they doing, because I got to do it now. Like I said, it's sad because hugging, touching is a very therapeutic thing, but knowing in the world that we're in today, people don't have enough spiritual hygiene. People know how to take a bath and a shower with some soap and water, but they don't know how to cleanse their spirit. And so that lack of knowledge is reason why a lot of people are in the positions that they're in. But needless to say, definitely be mindful of that, and just come back to this video and just pay attention to some of the things I shared and see if you have some of these things going on. But if you haven't taken a spiritual bath, or if you don't know what that is, I highly advise you, after I make the video, that you take a fucking spiritual bath, because you got something attached to your ass. I put 1,000 on it. And you'll notice the difference when you take a spiritual bath versus not having a spiritual bath. So anyway, let me get off this video and start the next video. So on that note, if you guys resonate with this video, or if you have some experiences that you've known of that potentially helped you, or that you went through, go ahead and drop a comment below. And on that note, I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.